Welcome to Tailgate Talk. It's Ritter, Wags, Tasker, all three of us together. Again, don't forget to follow us on socials, @On The Tailgate. If you missed it last week, pretty cool show. We're talking with Nick Van Gompel, who won the Salmonorama. Outfished everybody in big boats in a kayak. Really, really cool show. It was great to chat with him. You can check that out. It's on demand on the podcast. You can check it out there in the iHeartRadio app. A lot of stuff to get to this week. We're going to jump right into it. Talking some bow hunting. I know Tasker getting ready to go with that. We're getting ready for a Canadian fishing trip, and I'm going to start right there. Just going to jump right in to fishing, and got to say congrats to Reese Keeney and Bryce Motor, the Bassmaster high school champions. I know some high school college champions.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's so
the
crazy.
Same thing.
So the reason I bring these guys up, they're from Wisconsin. Two Wisconsin kids, the Northeast Wisconsin Bass Club, won the high school championship.
That's pretty cool.
Where
was the high school fishing team when I was in high school?
That's what I'm saying. Lake Hartwell, South Carolina is where it took place. And if you look at everybody that was, finished in the top 10, they're all kids from down south. It's all Tennessee, Alabama. And to have two kids from Wisconsin, northern as northern can be, go down to the Hartwell and win the entire thing. And by the way, winning on a bait that's made here in Wisconsin. Yeah, I will give Bro Varney Baits a big plug.
Nice.
They're actually in Wauwatosa is where they're made. That was one of their winning baits, was their swim jig. So
that's crazy.
I just thought that was really cool, and it got me upset that fishing was not a thing when I was in high school, because that would have actually been something that I could have participated in. Once the football was done for me because of knee injury, I could have been fishing. And honestly, I probably never would have played football if fishing was an option back then.
You talk about how expensive traveling sports are. God, then you got to get a bass boat for the kids, and you got to do all the traveling.
The coach would be like, say, I have a bass boat, I could be the coach, and so then I just drive the boat and take these kids fishing and take them where they are and coach them and help them grow in fishing.
I love hearing that about different unique things that kids are able to do, and a lot of times you got to do like AAU or some of that stuff to get at a higher level, but to actually have this growing in popularity, and I think that's pretty cool. I
think with the growth of it, that's really the future of professional bass anglers and professional bass tournaments, is that sort of the route to it. I mean, there's multiple routes. We've talked about, on this show, the changes with the open system, how like everyday guys like you and I could have a chance to make it to the elites, or at least fish the Bassmaster Classic. But, that's a long shot, really. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of skill. It's more of a long shot, I think, than these kids being groomed in it from high school and then, fishing collegiately. And that just helps build your resume and make you better as, you might want to then progress into, like, professional tournament angling, which could lead you into, whether it's the Bass Pro Tour or, the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Yeah.
I wish that was around when I was. That's all I keep getting at. But yeah, it's cool to see some Wisconsin kids do it. But I mean, even in the general realm of fishing alone, and there was an article I was reading on Bassmaster.com a couple of months ago. I think Brendan Polinick is one who wrote it. It was talking about the change and the shift in bass fishing. That, it used to be just all the southern good old boys. Bass fishing and professional bass anglers were all these southern boys. And it was all, Texas and Alabama and Florida and all that. But some of the most successful anglers over the last 2-3 years are all from Minnesota and Wisconsin. Like, somehow we've found a way to make our mark that, like, hey, we know what we're doing. Like, we can fish with you southern boys. Like, don't count us out. We know what we can do.
We don't need the whole year to figure out how to fish on open water.
Right, that's good. See, we fish up here. We learn how we know the waters. We know the creatures. We don't need to wear a Tennessee ball cap and kiss every fish we throw back. We just boat them.
You know what I think it is, though? It's because we have a secret weapon in our backyard between Minnesota and Wisconsin, and that's the Mississippi River. Because the Mississippi River, to me, is the one body of water that you can go 10 miles in any direction, and it's a completely different fishery. And it has all of the elements that you find on lakes down south. So if you've got, kind of that tidal type thing, it does operate somewhat like technically it is a tidal water, so it would operate like that somewhat in some spots, because you've got the current and everything goes with that. You've got the big pad fields and stuff that you're going to find in places like Florida. You've got grass. That's one of the places where you will find brush piles and things like that, which are very common in southern fisheries. That, inland lakes, Wisconsin and Minnesota, that's not as much of a thing because we can't just like freely be sinking brush into our lakes. So like the Mississippi River is that one spot that you can kind of groom yourself on all of these different elements and different things that you're going to encounter down south. And that's the only thing I can think of that's our secret weapon to why you're seeing success for Minnesota and Wisconsin anglers over the last few years. You know, we've talked about a lot of them on this show. You got Seth Feider from Minnesota, who won the Angler of the Year last year. You've got the success of, Caleb and what he's done, winning 2 elite events, just blowing away Guntersville last year, to Schlapper and what he's been able to do to the Elite Series. Jay Shakurit from Stevens Point, who just won the last Elite Series event. We're very versed, I think, here between Minnesota and Wisconsin, and that's something kind of cool. I hope that the whole high school sports things, or high school fishing, I should say, continues to grow to allow more opportunities of that. We're prideful in the Midwest of what we do, and don't want to make everything all about the South.
Yeah, I was just going to say, give a shout out to those Wisconsin boys. I like that, holding it down for us.
And that's a good point with the Mississippi River in all aspects of different types of fishing, because the Southern boys, the Georgia boys that I even played baseball with, and I'm going to group this in, I bring baseball into it, all they did was fish smaller lakes, farm ponds. They're, I don't know, like you just said, like the different abilities or the different things that a river brings to you, the different obstacles that you have to learn to adapt to fish to. These kids, again, I'm ballparking it. I'm sure they're grooming and broadening they're opening up their wings and doing things differently. But back then, that's what it was. Well, let's go fish a farm pond. Yeah, we can catch that. We can catch largemouth any day on toppers. I mean, that's it. That's all we want to do. And I think that's where the Northern boys are starting to come in, because you learn how to fish.
Well, even in your baseball terms, think about it. Down south, those baseball boys, I know a lot from Georgia. That's all they do. You can play baseball year-round down south.
All year round, yeah.
So it makes sense that, a lot of guys that play baseball and stuff are all from down south. Up here, again, when we talk about fishing or baseball or any sport, we got to shut it down for at least 3 months out of the year.
And I didn't want to, and don't forget this, you mentioned high school sports, which is great with giving fishing. There's also the trap and skeet clubs that are here. Wisconsin, the high schools are now giving different options for student athletes and I call them student athletes. They don't have to be basketball, football, and baseball. A student athlete can be other things, and broadening it as young kids like to hunt, to fish, to be outdoors. Botanists, we're going to chase cranes. We're going to save the cranes and the frogs. There's so many things that is good, and giving them an opportunity for competition, both in the fishing world and in the skeet and trap world, are huge, and I think in the high school sport world.
I love it. And again, it makes me jealous that this stuff wasn't a thing when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Because I feel that would have made me far more engaged in what I was doing.
Yeah, and just getting the exposure to the outdoors more. It's such a thing. It's such a big thing as you grow up and you become an adult and you start to find some of those other hobbies where you're outside of competitive sports, that it would only help you later in life then to have more of those things be a part of your childhood. You can think back on all your memories of playing football and baseball and basketball and whatever, but I don't know. A lot of people still especially for us, because we are such an outdoor state. We're very fortunate to have our 6 weeks of summer or whatever it is.
Right.
But we take advantage of that. You think about all the campgrounds, how they're so packed. And, anytime somebody's going camping, 99% of the time they're doing fishing or they're doing boating or they're doing something outdoors. I think it's cool, man. I'm glad that some of this stuff is starting to take on, because it's prepping you for things that you're probably going to end up doing later in life then. And you just get a chance to you work with a coach. You're obviously going to have somebody there that's going to be able to help you with some of that stuff.
But it's things you can do. You're right. It's things you can do forever. We can talk about baseball, basketball, and football in high school. Yeah, but the game's over. Majority of every student athlete, once they're done with high school, I'm going to say 90% of them are done. But these are things that you can take for the life for the next 50, 60 years and enjoy it with your family and pass it down to your children, as we've seen.
Right. Look at a guy like Rick Clunn, who, how old is Rick? Is he 72, 70? I think he's 74. And he's still fishing on the Elite Series. Yes, he's not, competing and winning necessarily as much as he did younger in his career. But yeah, those outdoor things are something you definitely can carry far more into your life. Baseball, what, you figure 38, you're pretty much completely done?
Most people are done at 18, unless you can fool them and use smoke and mirrors like Wagner did.
I love that. I love that you always go back to that. You're so humble about it, but we know you had a good career.
Well, I'd love to. You know what? It's the damn internet. I'd love to tell you I was good, but you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, just don't YouTube Paul Wagner. I can tell you the number one video that comes up, and I hate to always bring that up to Wags because I wouldn't want to bring it up either.
Or you Google it and you say, oh, look at his numbers, and it's like you weren't good. So I can't even tell my daughter's friends I can't even say that. So I got to play it that way because I can't lie anymore.
So do you just tell me you played like outfield or something then, or do you just not bring up the MLB?
I said, whenever you see a baseball card of mine, don't ever turn it up. Don't ask me what the numbers mean. Big numbers, we've always learned growing up that big numbers are good. So don't worry about it.
The numbers are all made up. None of it makes sense. Yeah. They're all just made up anyway.
Well.
Speaking of fishing, a new Mississippi state record was just caught on July 31st. A 104-pound blue catfish.
Dang.
Use your imagination on that.
Hopefully it was out of a boat and not out of a kayak, because I saw a video this week where a guy caught just an absolute monster of a marlin out of his kayak. You think about a large marlin.
Were you watching Adam Fisk? Was that Adam Fisk?
No, it was like some old guy. It was not the one that we've looked at before, because it was a really old weathered marlin. It was really dark and it was really kind of interesting. But I saw that thing and I'm like, I don't understand how people do this out of a kayak, but I couldn't imagine. I mean, that's just so much fish to be motoring around in a kayak trying to reel it in. So hopefully it was out of a boat.
Yeah, I was going to say Los Buzos has had 2 marlins. They've caught 2 marlins in the last 2 years down there, which is in Panama. It's specifically a kayak fishing resort down there, which bucket list for me to get down there at some point and fish. But this 104-pound catfish is about the size of, I would probably say, a 7 to 8-year-old.
Wow.
And I'm talking like length, width, like it is
Jesus.
Unreal how gigantic that thing is. I cannot imagine the fight that took to catch that fish. Like, and that's where I look at these guys that do the noodling thing, like sticking their hands down holes and grabbing it.
That's what I was going to say. I hope he didn't catch it that way.
Right. Like if you're a 180-pound man and you're reaching down there and get 104 pounds grabbing, no, that thing is sucking you down and taking you in the hole with it. I am sorry. There's no way you are ripping that thing out of its hole.
Yeah.
You're gone.
That's one species of catfish that I can say I've not caught. I've not caught a blue cat.
No.
I mean, everywhere that I've fished, I've caught channel cats, I've caught flatheads, I've never caught a blue cat.
Yeah.
What's a mud cat? What's a mud cat?
Like down south, a mud cat would be a flathead.
Okay, so in North Carolina, we were eating when we eat cats. We were eating mud cats. Those were
flatheads.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Trying to read through this article is talking about this fish. This fish was second record blue caught in Mississippi this year. There was another 131-pound blue cat also caught near that. That was the biggest recorded in state history. So, yeah, wow. Okay, just big catfish. I'm not a big catfish fisherman. We did a lot of it when we were in high school. Like, that's how we'd spend our nights after school. We'd go and, take whatever we had and throw it in the Fox River. Again, growing up in Green Bay, catching channel cats and a lot of carp. And I think my biggest channel cat was 38 inches. I didn't get a weight on it, just measured the length of it, which 38 inches for a catfish is pretty freaking huge as is.
Yeah.
And that thing drug me around for a long time.
Yeah, you're talking about 38 inches, not even 38 pounds.
No, 38 inches. So do the poundage on it. I don't even.
Yeah.
It was heavy. It was a big fish.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't really get it fully out of the water, kind of up on a rock, did a quick measure, ticked it off, and sent it on its way. Catfish kind of creep me out. Like, I have a weird thing. I don't like to even grab catfish.
Yeah, they're because they are they're a fat fish. They're very fatty.
It's the spines. I don't want to get spined. That's my biggest thing. Like, I've been spined by a bullhead, and that for some reason put me on this scare of I don't want to touch catfish.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of them. I don't know. They're kind of fun to catch because they are so beefy. They put up a good fight, but I don't know. I'd rather catch something else, I guess.
It's funny. There's a guy that's saying he's not a fan of catching and touching catfish, but yet I'll get in the water with big muskies. So there's that.
That's fine. It's different. It's totally different.
Spine or teeth that can bite you. I'm not afraid of teeth to bite me. And then we're talking about going to Cabo. My plan is I'm shark diving. I'm going to do free diving for sharks out there with one of the outfitters that's been on Shark Week and done all that stuff. So it's not like cage sharks. Like, this is like legit open blue water ocean free diving sharks. That doesn't scare me. I'm fine with that. But a dang catfish, I'm like, nope, I'll pass. Hard pass. Anyway.
So wait, so we might only have a couple weeks left of this show.
Ritter's gone. He got eaten. He's gone.
My wife said to me when I cleared it with her, I go, so just to be clear, you're okay that that uncomfortable that I do this, because she knows that like shark diving is like a bucket list for me in life.
Right.
Like, I haven't wanted to do like a legitimate shark dive at some point. And she's like, just know that if you get bit and you get hurt, I'm leaving your ass in a Mexican hospital. I'm like, fair enough. Risk I'm willing to take.
Okay.
I'm shark diving.
Sign off on that waiver, baby. We're going.
Yep. So
you got to predate your life insurance upping. You remember, you can't do it like a year, but you got to do it within a year, right? You can't make it $1 million and then die like in 2 months.
Yeah.
Then you don't get the
That's
money,
not the intention. We're going to be fine. We're just going to see whales, and I'm hoping to jump in the water with a mako shark. That's really all I want to do to cross that off my bucket list. That would be fantastic, and then I could be super happy and never have to do it again in my life. But real quick, I want to mention Tailgate Talk brought to you by our friends at Buck Rub Outfitters. You can check them off for Silverdale Road in Pewaukee, buckrubarchery.com as well. The perfect place to go to get ready for bow season, because we are now less than a month away from the bow opener. In fact, actually, if you date it back, I believe it's exactly 4 weeks from today would be the bow season opener. So crazy to think that it's approaching here. It feels like we just got done like 2 weeks ago saying, oh, bow season's over, and then we're getting into summer, and now summer's flown by. And I know, Tasker, you're itching, getting ready to go.
I think I'm actually just really overwhelmed right now because we've got 2 moves happening with kids coming up. So I'm trying to get through August, and I'll have 17 days in September to just think about bow season. But, we've got the Canada trip coming up. We're moving 1 kid to Chicago and 1 kid into the dorms at Madison, all still happening here before the end of August. So I'm a little overwhelmed, and I feel kind of stressed out about it. But, I mean, what are you going to do? It's just the way that it goes every year. So, but we've always known that August was going to be crazy for us. So it's like, you know what? I'm shooting my bow. I'm doing the outdoor league at Buck Rub and just trying to, send some arrows.
But at least you're taking the steps, and you're doing it better than, every year it seems we, are in and around, Kaz and the crew at Buck Rub Archery. And the fact that it's like that 2 weeks, or for sure the week leading into bow season, when it is just, it's like everyone forgets that it exists. And so like, oh, I need to, and my bow needs repair, and it's just, it's madness in there.
Oh,
so
I pulled my bow back and my cable snapped.
Right.
Or
start with it now. We did an entire show back a couple of weeks ago about the summertime prep, getting you ready. Yeah. If you haven't yet, this is the cautionary tale. Do it now. Just like, even looking at firearm season for whitetail coming up. If you can find or want to start looking for the ammunition that you want for, your season, start looking for it now. Purchase it now, so you're not the person, the 3 days before you're going off the deer camp searching every place because you can't find the exact, ammunition that you're looking for because everywhere else is sold out because everyone else did the same thing and it was just try and plan ahead.
Yeah.
I know, Wags, you've done your food plots, and that's like kind of your big thing where you've started your steps. You've got a lot of your stands that stay permanent on your property. Y'all be proud of me. The hardcore angler, kayak fisherman that I am, last weekend, I went through and started pulling out my stand, my sticks, all of my stuff to get ready to hunt. I was, looking over all of my gear. I'm getting myself prepped and ready for bow season already.
I'm shocked. I don't know what else to say besides that because, I know you're a prepper and a planner.
Yes.
But I also know that you're not really concerned about the start of bow season.
No, I will probably hunt opening day. I'll probably for sure hunt the morning of opening day of bow season. And then I might get out one more time between then and November. But yeah, otherwise I'm putting all my eggs in that second week in November basket. And I'm not even taking the whole week off. I'm just putting all my eggs in November that I'll hunt, a long stretch at some point there in November. And then I will, if I don't, shoot something there, I'll hunt a couple of random, Fridays, Mondays, something, wrap around weekends throughout November and into December, much like I did last year. I've got too many trips and too many things have happened this year that, so spoil it, my son's turning 5 in October, on October 25th. So for his 5th birthday, we're all going to Disney, taking him to Disney for then. So I don't want to like be gone for a week at Disney and then come back and immediately be like gone from everything again for a solid week, you know, do that like first week in November. So I'm going to push it to that next week. And then even again, I'm not going to do a whole week just to stretch. So I'm not, it's, you know, I'm going to be like last fall when I was pretty much non-existent for my normal day job. I worked at least 2 days a week from Halloween to New Year. But yeah, I was pretty much off at least 3 days a week. Yeah, I for sure can tell you I did not work a Thursday or a Friday from Halloween until January 6th. So I just saved that much vacation time, and I was taking it off, and I was out bow hunting, you know?
Yeah.
Remember you said that a long time ago. You said that. You give me, I don't, remember we were, oh gosh, this must have been, what did you say the other day? We were 75, 77 shows into this, and in the very beginning you said, I would much rather have days off than other things.
Money,
money,
totally.
I mean, other perks for a job. You give me more vacation days, and I'll love it. I'll love it.
Time is money, and that's you know that's something that I have done, and I you know the reason I have all the vacation I have is because I have negotiated that instead of salary increases. I'm fine. Don't pay me any more money. Just give me another week of vacation. Give me 5 more vacation days that I can do the things that I love and do. You know, now next year is you know I'm going to do a full tour. You know, fishing, you know, a kayak bass fishing tour, that's going to require more time off because it's just, you know, if it's Saturday derbs, I'm for sure going to be pre-fishing like Thursday, Friday. So, you know, those 6 tournaments are going to require, you know, 6 to 12 vacation days leading up to it that I'm going to go and put the time in ahead of those. That's not including other time that I may head out to that body of water when allowed to do some pre-fish and just kind of get a lay of the land as well. So that's where having those days is important to me because it allows me to do the things that I love outside of my normal job. Like, I love this. I love doing this show. I love all that. But there's a certain part of, you know, doing the other things you love, having your hobbies and your other passions. Just so happens this show totally, like, blends in with all those hobbies and passions. But you got to take time for yourself. And that's where I think, like, having time off and that work-life balance is so important. Time off creates that work-life balance for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is a time of the year where, you know, I said before, I'm like overwhelmed and I'm for sure thinking about bow season, but it's just a lot going on. And I feel like this is the time of the year where it happens every year because I save so much of my time off for October, November that it builds and it builds and it builds. And then it's like, Jesus, I need to get out of here and I need to get away and I need to go sit in a tree stand. And then you take that time, you come back refreshed and then you're ready to roll again. But man, it's just, I don't know. That's just kind of the way that it goes. So, Wags, you spend any time out at Buck Rub lately?
Yeah. Hey, I got to head out, but 2 things I want to touch really quick is, yes, I want to go over the Buck Rub experience. I picked up, we talked about it last year, me being on the northwest corner of Illinois, hunting Missouri and stuff like that, different terrain, hilly. The crossbow became a weapon of choice, and Buck Rub set me up with a great situation. They showed me how to work it. I got one of the new Ravens. I do want to talk about that possibly next time we talk. I know you're leaving fishing, but when we get back, we can do that. It's a phenomenal toy. It's great. I mean, it's the only thing that I had to bring up, and then the point that I wanted to say was, you can't shoot it into a normal block target.
No.
A normal block target, let's just say it can handle arrows at 300 to 350 feet per second. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking crossbows up into the 450. Well, this one shoots 406 or 410. They got a new one that shoots up to 500, and I don't do that. So, so every time you buy a new toy, you don't realize the other little pieces that you have to add on. But I'm doing it, and I'm doing it with a smile on my face, if that makes sense.
I feel like there was an experience where someone shot into a target, and they learned the lesson the hard way there.
No.
Okay.
No.
You didn't blow one right through your target, huh?
No, what I did is I doubled it up. I just have one of those 22-inch blocks, the black and yellow and white one, and I just doubled it up. But yeah, all of a sudden it's a 21-inch dart, and it went in. The problem was, you're right, there was a bad experience, but it wasn't anything hurt. It went too far in, so I literally had to pry out those layers just to get that that dart out. So I said, this isn't going to last very long, because if you have a 22-inch block target and you shoot multiple darts, by the time you pick and choose all those little layers out, you're going to have nothing left. So I figured I better spend a couple of dollars and buy a block target that can withstand the FPSs of a Raven crossbow.
There you go. Well, hey, thanks for joining us again a bit this week. We'll touch base here soon. I know we got a lot of stuff planned coming up here. It's going to be action-packed in the show the next few weeks. So we'll definitely catch up real soon. All right, Wags?
Awesome. Have a great time up there and have fun up in Canada.
All right.
Thanks, Wags.
Yeah, he mentions Canada. Next week, the show will be live from Canada, Ballard's Black Island. That's where we're going to be fishing, and we'll have the show for you live from there. We'll talk a bit about, fishing in Canada. So if you've never done it, kind of what the experience is. I know you haven't, Tasker, so it's going to be perfect for you to really speak to the experience of fishing up in Canada, what it's like, fishing at an all-inclusive resort, and just generally how things have been with no fishing, as far as tourism fishing from Americans coming to Canada the last 2 years, and what effects that has had on some of the local economy and some of the resorts. So I'm sure we'll talk to Gary from Ballard's Black Island while we're up there and get a little insight on that. So that's a little preview into next week's show, but don't forget to follow us on socials @On the Tailgate. I'm @The Real Ritter, as in fishing real. @Wisco Bow Hunting is Eric Tasker. And I want to bring up social media real quick, because I wanted to give a big shout out, very importantly, to someone who's actually been on this show before, and that's Okayest Hunter. We had Eric from Okayest Hunter on. If you haven't seen or listened to the Okayest show we ever did, it's on the podcast. But they posted something on their Instagram this past week, and it was from their podcast that I thought was awesome, and I wanted to make sure to amplify that voice, because it's something that we've talked about on this show a lot and something I stand for huge, and it's this statement.
That openness and willingness to be kind and helpful. We beat the drum that there's a lot of negativity and we got to end buck shaming, and that's a thing, but that is 1%. 99% is positive and good, and people are awesome by and large. So
it's a lot easier to be nice and kind and helpful than it is to be an absolute prick. I think it takes so much more energy. It is. It's a big waste of energy to be a complete jerk. Be an asshole and belittle somebody. It took you how many minutes to figure out that comment that you're now going to put on whatever platform, social media platform, to cut somebody down? It takes that much more effort. It's just easier to be nice. Give them a thumbs up. Give them a smiley face emoji. Whatever it is, be positive. It's not that freaking hard.
And that was Greg Tubbs on the Okayest Hunter podcast this past week, and they posted up on their Instagram. Again, check them out. If you haven't, normally be like, I say, seriously, go subscribe, go listen to Okayest Hunter. They're a great podcast. They're a great movement, everything that they stand for of ending buck shaming. And we talk a lot with them, just behind the scenes stuff of exactly that shaming and the craziness in social media. Our show we talked about with the trolls and stuff. It's just ending that. But that statement right there was it. It takes so much time and so much more energy to be negative at people on social media, on anywhere, than it is to just not.
Right.
Like Greg said there, that was perfect. Just to pop the like button on something you see or give a thumbs up. It takes way less time and energy than to think up some smart response or to make some stupid remark about something, which I've stirred up that on my socials this past week with a meme that I put up. I believe it was just on my Facebook page that was pointing out that and I laugh about this, and I know we've brought it up on the show, difference between walleye anglers and bass anglers, and the fact that we always like to get at each other. That's kind of like a Midwestern thing. And I put up the meme that said, God created walleyes so everyone could catch fish, and then created smallmouth to separate the real fishermen from the posers. Some along those lines, which you're going to get to experience as we're up in Canada fishing. You're going to see, to me, I think the walleyes, it's a dumb, easy fish to catch. Drop something in the bob and catch a walleye.
That.
Bass will take a little more skill and a little more difficult. But then I've got everyone that's like, bass are way easier. I mean, I was doing it just to rile up certain people. I did. I put in the energy because I wanted that. I'm trying to work the algorithm to get people to comment and do things because that helps, boost your reach or whatever stupid social media thing.
I actually almost screenshot that and sent it to you and Resnack and said, I think Ritter's intentionally taking shots at me before Canada.
Really, honestly, when I made that was a taking shot at my brother. My brother's like a big all about walleye fishing and this and that, and I did that about a year ago to take shots at him. He's like, oh, bass are dumb. So that's always been our thing going back and forth about, bass fishing and walleye fishing, and he's always trying to make fun of bass anglers. And, what was one meme he sent me that was like, I've got something about some mental health thing or something runs in my family, and he's like, yeah, I don't have problems, but my brother fishes for bass.
Okay.
Like saying
That's
that, you know,
funny. I mean, it's kind of bad, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'll give you that, but okay, let's, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, first, I mean, those guys, you know, they're just such a great advocate for what we need in the outdoor world right now. You know, we, like you said, I mean, we talk to those guys all the time behind the scenes and just kind of chat back and forth. And I just love what they do. You know, they're just such a good voice for the hunting community. And I'm so glad that they've taken such a stronghold on that average Joe outdoor individual.
You and I
can just go out and do whatever. And dude, I'm happy if I shoot something with horns.
Right. And I'm not even saying just you and I in the room, like you and us, you and us, like that's it. You know, in fact, I even sent a message to Eric at OKS right after that. You know, I saw that. I said, you know, like, dude, like, that's awesome. I said, you know, like, as we talk all the time, as a community, if we can all just, you know, amplify each other and make our voices louder, we can truly be impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if there was something that spurred that. I haven't listened to that podcast yet, but I'm wondering if there was something that spurred that. And the reason I say that is because you don't follow the Rut Report page on Facebook, right? No. So this would just drive you crazy. So, you know, of course, I don't know why 12-year-olds feel like they need to be on Facebook, but there's been a bunch of young, like, teenagers, like 12 to 14-year-olds that are making posts saying, I'm 12 and this is my target buck for this year, and pictures of trail cameras, not overly impressive bucks. I mean, you see some of the stuff that I send you from that page. There's some big deer that get posted on there. But the problem is now there's this younger generation that is trying to get into hunting. They are excited about whatever's on their trail camera, just as a lot of people are. They're excited to have bucks, period. They're really excited to be able to go and share their excitement with the internet.
Right.
And then there's all of these jags that go on there. And there was somebody that posted, it was like yesterday afternoon, he posted, I'm 2 and this is my target deer for this year. And it was like 2 fawns. And it's like, why do you have to be like that? And the very first comment was, why do you have to act like that?
Perfect.
Why can't you be encouraging for the youth that want to be a part of this? And instead of beating them down and making them feel like they're less of a hunter because that's what they want to shoot. Does that matter to you? What does it matter?
Right.
It's my tag, my hunt, just like OKist always says, that it's like, you know, who cares, man? And why do people have to be like that? It's just so frustrating.
I talk about my YouTube channel, and the whole reason I'm on that, it's not, and I started doing it, it's not that whole like, oh, I'm a famous YouTube, that's stupid. And I've actually had this conversation with another guy that's kind of in the industry-ish locally, Max from Hardwater Freaks, and we're talking about that, about like, you know, these people, this younger generation, like, thinks, oh, I can create this YouTube channel and become this big famous YouTube, like they're looking at Guggen Squad.
Right.
And it's like, it's just, I'm sorry, I'm going to break it to you. I can show you the numbers. It's not legitimate to think that you could do that. Like, I'm not trying to crush your dream. Like, go create. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the reason I do it is to share info and share tips and share those things.
Right.
I had a guy that, you know, I put up like an Ask Me Anything on my Instagram this past week, and he asked, can you do guide services? Simply, like, and I responded to him, no. Like, I can't, like, I love to help anyone by sharing tips, notes, places to start, which is why I never, like, if I'm showing screenshots of my graph, you see what lake I'm on and where I am.
Right.
I don't care. I'm not going to hide that. Like,
you still got to get on them, and you still got to put them in the boat.
You still got to catch them. You still got to figure it out. Like, like, I want you to catch fish. That's the whole point. Like, I want to help it. You know, the whole guiding thing, it goes along with, like, it's not feasible to, like, expect to make money on it. People do it, but the amount of insurance that's required to do that and the amount of money that you need to pay for that, it's just not something I'm willing to do because I have too many other things that I'm doing that I like to do. I'd rather, instead of, you know, spending money on insurance and all these things and trying to, like, hustle and bustle and, like, guide people, I'd rather just, like, go out and have fun myself and share those experiences and share those tips and tricks so that other people can go do it themselves and go have fun. And I'm not knocking down guides or anything, but I just this week, it was like a lot of things all just meshed together of that, exactly that, of just helping each other, being a positive influence in a positive community is so much better and so much easier than being negative and cutting people down. And, you know, I can't wait till I post a doe or something, hopefully, that I shoot this fall, and someone's like, oh, I don't see the horns on that, and be like,
Yeah, guess what? Was going in the frying pan.
It tastes better than what I got to eat after last season.
Right? Yeah, a piece of paper.
Yeah, I mean, I spent the entire fall out watching deer, passing on deer, because, and I said last year, that was my first year, like, fully investing in hunting whitetails, and bow hunting specifically. And I wanted to take in the experience. It's all about the journey and the experience, not just the end result. I had a fantastic year. It was so much fun. All the cold sits, the bone chilling. I mean, I think back to my final day when I went out. It was friggin', I think, 6 below zero, air temperature without the wind. And I went out there bare bones on the ground, deep into a swamp. Me and my bow, that's it, trudging through the snow. Like, it was a fun, awesome hunt. And it was great sitting there. Like, I'd still look back at some of the photos that I took. Like, I hung my bow up, like, on a pine. I was kind of hiding in some pines and stuff. Took a photo of it there, and it's just like one of my favorite photos to look at, because that was like me hanging up the bow for the last time of the year.
Right.
And I think I even posted that. But as I thought back on how the year went, all the cool things that I saw and experienced, it was better than even shooting a deer. And I know it sounds stupid to say, and it sounds like that's my cop-out of like, oh, well, you just didn't shoot some, so that's what you tell yourself. No, like, really, it was.
Yeah.
I look back to the 2 tournaments that I fished this year with the Great Lakes Kayak Series. I was swinging for the fences in both of those derbs because I could. It was fun to be able to go out and swing for the fences. Did it work out in my favor? No. Well, the last one should have, had I not screwed up as many times as I did. Like, I cost myself that tournament.
Yeah.
I swung for the fences, and I had a shot, but I cost myself that.
Right.
Does it make it unsuccessful or bad? No, because I did something different than everybody else. I did things my way. And I saw where I sat and how I stacked up. That was a success to me. It's not about cashing a check or grabbing a trophy this year. And not even saying next year's. Next year, I'll be playing Farmer for Angler of the Year to qualify for state, to those, play the long game. Be safer with things. When you can swing for the fence, swing for the fence. And that was kind of me looking at last year bow hunting was, hey, I've never really done this. Let's just see what it's all about. And swing, yes, I could have shot a couple of smaller deer, but I'm like, no. It probably helped that I saw that giant that was out there in November, and I'm like, I'm going to hang on for that one. I just got to hang on for that one. I want to see him again. I want to see him again, which I never did other than on someone else's camera, but.
Yeah. And I don't even, how many times did we hunt together last year? Was it 2 times or 3 times maybe?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times. Yeah, I remember December. You were like on, we were kind of burning vacation days and hooked up with me out there. Because I'm like, again, the same thing. I'm like, come on out. I showed you. Here's where it is. Here's where to do this. Like, I wasn't the person like, this is where I hunt. This is my spot. Don't like, no, I'm like, come on in. Like, here's here. There's a hill. Here's a valley here. This is randomly set up. This pinch point here. Showed you everything because, like, go have fun, go shoot a deer. Like, that's what it's about.
I thought that was really cool, because for me, I love my tradition of hunting season. I love what we do. I love how we do it. We've kind of reinvented how we've done it these past couple years. Incorporating truck hammers and all that stuff adds like another 2 weekends to what our overall hunting season is. But man, it was cool just to be able to go out there and do something different for a change, hunt a different part of land, hunt with somebody different, and to share those memories with somebody that was not family. I mean, that was really cool for me.
And to see different styles. I think I hunt, it's safe to say, way different than any of your family or anyone you typically hunt with. I'm far more mobile and light, and just it's a very different style of hunting. And I think by experiencing those things with other people, it makes you better as a whole.
Sure.
And sharing those things. So that's why the whole it's mine or don't share, and like I get not wanting to like give your spot, and there is some people who will take advantage of things, or but in general, the more you can help and uplift others, it makes us all better as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, I'm just going out there to pluck a couple does. So,
and that's fun. That's why. Like, I knew, like, you've got bucks and stuff in the area you hunt, and the whole family aspect, and I get that, and the whole deer camp, and that's really cool. Like, I don't have that,
right?
And so this is my style of hunting, and, and it's me by myself, and that was. I had a crew of guys that I duck hunted with and did. I mean, we were huge in waterfowling up in northeastern Wisconsin when I moved down to Milwaukee, moved away from that. I still went up quite a bit and was hunting with those guys and duck hunting.
Sure.
But it got to be a lot. And then when I became a dad, that's when I cut off everything. I didn't hunt or fish for 3 years, basically. And so I had to figure out a way to start all over and get into these things. That was the whole idea of where I came with starting a YouTube channel, was that of sort of basically documenting me getting back into doing these things that I haven't done and trying new things along the way. I've always spent time fishing in a bass boat, and I've fished tournaments as a co-angler and things like that. But this was me now getting out there and getting in a kayak and really like focusing on bass fishing from a kayak and the new challenges of that. And then fishing tournaments on my own so it's been fun, that whole experience. And then going, well, instead of duck hunting, I'm going to bow hunt. The whole reason I never deer hunt is because it was like it got in the middle of duck season. Right. I didn't want to bother, but I'd rather shoot. I can hunt ducks for 60 days out of the year. I'm going to duck and goose hunt, and I'm not worried about that bow hunting.
Yeah, and it's not just one doe tag and one buck tag. You've got
every day I can shoot birds.
Yeah.
And, I used to make the joke and refer to as deer waiters. Like, you're not a deer hunter, you're just a deer waiter. You just climb in a tree and you sit there and wait for deer.
Right.
Having done it now, I get that it's not that. There's more that goes into it.
Right.
But, it could be as simple as walking in your stand and sitting.
Way.
It could be that simple, or it could be a lot more. Like you said, you're getting trail cameras and making more of an experience and, multiple weeks. So there's how much you want to make of it. And me wanting to be able to experience that, I had to find somewhere close to home because, again, I don't want to spend an entire day driving away or spend going, and camping or whatever, which I will eventually be able to go into that, the next step investment.
Right.
We're going to add a camper to our arsenal. So that's, again, where I can travel and fish tournaments, can take the camper instead of having to drop $1,000 on a weekend for an Airbnb every time I'm fishing a tournament. I can just grab the camper and we can roll up and grab a campground and the whole family can come along. They can enjoy whatever in and around the outdoors because my wife and son both love that stuff while I'm out fishing during the day, and I'm making a whole weekend while I pre-fish, fish tournament, hang out with them for a day and then pack up and head on back. So maybe hunting, I can take the camper and go somewhere else in the state and, camp for a weekend and hunt somewhere else. Man. We'll see. It could be possible down the road, but I want to find something close, and I love what I figured out. I found this piece of public land. I went out and studied a couple times. I turkey hunted on it, and by going out there turkey hunting, I learned a lot about the property and really focused on learning more about the property. That then set me up to then go into bow season last year, and I had a specific plan of nudging my way into it. I nudged around and nudged in until I finally went deep into it. Now I feel I know that property really, really well. And I learned it all pretty quickly last year. But it was also that, I would do my sit, and I never did all-day sits. If it got to be like mid-morning or something, I just wasn't seeing much. I just saw a couple, everything was early. I'm like, we're going to pull the plug now, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to go walk somewhere. I bump something, I jump something, whatever. But the more the plan was just to take a walk somewhere, to take that time and learn a little bit more about the property.
Sure.
And so I feel like having those couple of times where I've done that, I've learned so much that now I can be more targeted this year, knowing, okay, I want to get here. This is how I do it.
Right.
And being able to play the winds and stuff like I do far more. I don't do scent control. So I feel like we've totally walked off topic of where I was going. I don't even know where I was going at this point.
No, it's good, dude. I love talking about bow hunting. I think it's really cool, though, the journey that you've been on, because I think it's helped me think about things a little bit differently, too, and just... I don't know. You're so much more detailed with maps and actually pre-scouting and e-scouting and doing all of that stuff that it helps me kind of think about things a little bit differently, especially going into a new area where I'm just not super familiar with it. Now I could see myself kind of getting into the same routine that I did or that I do up north, where it's like, okay, this is the area. I know deer walk through there. I'm just going to go to that area and I could just sit there. It might not be the same exact tree every day, but I kind of know where I would like to be. I like that area, and I see 5 deer every time that I walk through. I just posted a video the other day on TikTok where it was the 3 doe that were walking right underneath my stand, 5 feet from my stand.
That was the day when your pants got hooked in your hooked in your
Correct.
Stand. That's what I was going to get to, and eventually where I wanted to go. So we're going to shorten this portion of things that I intended to talk about was, when getting your gear ready. I mentioned that I had pulled my stuff out and got my stuff kind of ready. I think I'm going to add some of those silencer tape thing. It's like a camo tape onto my stand. My stand's pretty quiet, but the just in case. Mm-hmm. Here's a hot tip that I saw that I was mind blown that this is why I had to share it. Instead of stealth strips, that's what they're called. Instead of buying stealth strips, which they're not that expensive, but hockey tape. Hockey tape is so much more cost efficient. It's just about the same thing.
Sure.
It's super sticky. It's super thin. Weighs nothing. I'm I feel like I can go any sport. I can go to Dick's Sporting Goods. I can grab a roll of hockey tape for a couple bucks. It's cheaper than it would be to get the camouflaged stealth strips. That situation.
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of coat the outside of my stand, maybe run across my cables, which I don't have the squeaky problem that some people talk about with their boots, because I even wear I hunt in waders with the rubber boots and everything. I don't have the squeaky on the stands. I've hunted some cold stuff.
Sure.
But I think I'm going to do that, and then on my sticks.
Okay.
I don't have a whole lot of metal. Like, the only thing that's metal
Sure.
is basically with my straps on my stand. You know, I've got the ratchet strap for the top, and then I've got the, cinch, pull buckle that goes on the bottom, which I even took an old can koozie, koozie, and I cut it and re-sewed it together to be a little bumper that goes over the top of that clasp.
Yeah.
So that's taking away any chance of metal on metal.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that last year already with stuff, but I'm like, just that random, I want to silence it just a little bit more because I want to be as quiet as possible getting in and out, and it never fails for some reason when you're trying to be that quiet. Like it'll be like, great example, the carabiner that I snap onto my backpack and bow as I pull it up. It never fails. Like, I'll move something, whatever, and it'll king right into my stick on the way up. And it's like, so if I just run hockey tape on my sticks, what's the difference is black hockey tape?
Right.
Or gray hockey tape, whatever. It's a gray, stick that I attach to tree anyway.
Right.
And if the deers look at, I don't think that matters. I think movement, matters way more than color. Which is why camouflage. I don't care. I'm mismatching everything. Wearing friggin' wetlands camo, waders in a different color. I think movement is so much more than color and camouflage.
It's always I could talk about this forever, but I always think it's funny because I don't know, man. There's times where I've sneezed in the woods, or I've coughed in the woods, or I don't know, farted in the woods, whatever. And it's like, deer are there, and they just, I don't know. I think we overthink it more often than we should.
Yeah.
Because it's not really that hard. I mean, deer hunting is not easy, but I think we exaggerate some of this stuff, and we try and do everything in a precautionary measure that we can. But just go out and sit in the damn tree and shoot a deer.
There you go. Well, we're going to all get a chance to do that here less than a month away.
Yes.
Deer season's coming, so we'll have more on bow hunting. Next week, again, the show going to be live from Canada. We're fishing at Ballards, doing lots of Canadian fishing, and then we're going to actually get John Resnick back in with us, too. My buddy John, Clam Pro. They're having Clam Pro Day. In fact, just had actually yesterday in Brainerd, Minnesota. He'll have some details on some of the new clam products, and it's not necessarily being a clam it's more on just general ice fishing stuff with John, but, the whole point of, supply streams and where to get stuff. John can tell you what's worth it, what's the coolest stuff to not, waste your time on it, and where you go to look for it first.
I wonder if he slept the last 2 nights.
Probably not.
One for excitement the night before, one for excitement after everything you found out.
Yeah, probably not. So we'll chat with you next week, live from Canada, for an awesome time. This is Tailgate Talk.